Hello there, Apple Bites. This is your Apple Bite Written Writ Ralph talking to you straight from our show here, Apple Bites, where we take a bite out of the apple and share it with you.
Now everyone has cooties.
Exactly. And tonight's going to be a great show because we have a lot of people here, and we're going to be talking about a lot of comic books and a lot of stuff. At least, hopefully, that's what we're hoping happens.
We could talk about nothing, and we could just waste everyone's time, and it would be hilarious.
We could just stare at the screen for like an hour.
Dude, can you just imagine somebody comes on the show and all they see is
whoever blinks first loses and has to leave.
I'm just a little concerned because I was told everyone had their cootie shot, so I'm a little uncomfortable with.
They lied.
we got the cootie shot when she gave us the cooties.
Okay.
It's like COVID, where vaccination is apparently optional. So
I see. Okay, carry on then.
Let's go, Wayward Sons. All right, let's see what we got here. So, Jeff, why don't we start off with you? I know you got to leave a little earlier than the other guys. So why don't you tell the people who you are? Give them your spiel. Go for it.
I'm J. Michael Miller. I'm a comic book writer. I'm the writer of Kid Cretaceous. That's on Kickstarter now. It's the second issue. We have 31% left until we're funded.
So why don't you tell the people who you are? Give them your spiel.
Who's doing that?
I'm J. Michael Miller.
Lagging.
Someone has a browser window open.
I'm sorry, I had audio issues.
that just seems to be the show today.
It was playing back.
Yep, malfunction Monday.
This comic book is about a girl that wishes that her toy dinosaur could help save her dad when they get in a car accident, and on the way to a new town. And so it happens, and now she has to be in a new school with a toy dinosaur that comes to life.
Yep, there's the dinosaur, and the dinosaur can change in size, right?
Yeah, it grows big.
That sounds
Any
like
size.
it could be a problem for a child.
Yeah.
I gotta say, it's really cute.
Thank you. Was first idea I had. I did a 4-page short for it, and the artist is in Argentina, but for this issue, Letter Squid is taking over the lettering. So I really like how the letters pop out more.
Yeah, it's always great to see like sound effects and stuff that look exactly like what a sound effect should be, like with the booms and stuff. It's very cool. Also, I gotta say, I read the first issue. I loved it. I love how wholesome it is, but also how like not perfect Casey is, because she has this dinosaur who's like, comes to life and does stuff, and like they don't always do nice things.
Right.
And yeah, I love that they have to deal with that, because that's such a huge part of being a kid, is just like being petty and then like having to suffer the consequences sometimes.
Right. At the end of the first issue, spoiler alert, she has to do therapy going forward.
Which, yeah, understandably so. Going through what she's gone through, like losing her mom, going to a new city, going to a new school, and then, there's like the bullies. It's a lot to deal with.
Yeah.
Also, I love the cover that's drawn by your daughter. It's adorable.
Thank you. A year ago, she made it, and she draws a lot better now, so she's a little upset about that. But I think
she's a true artist at heart. She's like, I could do so much better now. I hate this.
She is. But a year ago, she did that, and I had the idea to have Casey drawing her art for the cover that the main interior artist did.
Yeah, it's great. It's kind of meta in a way to have like the character drawing what your daughter did. It's very cute.
Yeah, look.
Yeah,
that is so cool.
Yeah.
It's like an inside joke. You get it?
Yep. All right. So what are your plans for Kid Cretaceous? How long is it going to be? Like, what's going on?
Kid Cretaceous is going to have a 5-issue first arc, and we'll see from there if there's another one or not. So there's 3 more issues after this. This one has a 4-page backup story by Travis Gidd for the script, and then the art is Ignacio de Miglio, and then the letters is Buddy Bedouin. And the new edition that wasn't in the first issue.
This is so cute too.
Yeah.
Oh,
And I got to read it on Travis's Discord, and I loved it.
Yeah, I like how it all turned out.
And it easily feels like it's just like a natural part of the story too, not like it's just some sort of like one-off thing that someone else wrote. Like Travis knows what he's doing.
Yeah, he does. He even has his own all ages book too. I think it's Pup Van Winkle.
His wife wrote that one, didn't she? I think his wife wrote it.
I thought that they worked on it together.
Possibly. I
He
feel
probably
like his
wrote it.
wife had a bigger hand in it though, but
Yeah.
and you got t-shirts and yeah, tell us about the Make 100 tarot card too. That's part of your Make 100 thingy, yes?
Yes, the tarot card as metal, and it's printed from Ready Comics, and it is the Tower. It's based off of the Tower tarot card, and the art's by D. Noonan. And
I gotta say, Ready Comics does some very good metal stuff. I get all of my metal stuff from them too.
they do. I got a sample of it for the campaign when I got my holofoils for the last book that I did.
Nice.
The Tower card usually represents like a big life-changing moment that happens, and so it seemed appropriate to do for the first issue.
Oh, absolutely. Good metaphor.
Yeah,
especially because the tower is broken in the back.
right.
And you got fan art. That's really cool.
That's always great.
How's that feel? No one's ever given me Sacrimony fan art.
No.
Okay, maybe one person, but
You should try to do it for Indie-tober next year, or this year actually.
Indie-tober.
I always feel bad though
all of
because
you.
I'm like, if I put my story there for people to draw fan art, I feel bad that I don't have the time to like draw fan art back for them. And like, I know that's not how Indie-tober works typically, but there's always a little guilt.
I feel the same way because I'm a writer, but I made like 3 or 4 little.
I think it's
stepping
harder when
stones.
you know you can draw and you're asking other people to draw and you're just like, I should
Yeah.
be drawing too.
Yeah,
I gotta say, the t-shirt looks really nice.
Good logo.
thank you.
Classic comic book.
I love her face there.
I know. Dickie Ram Donnie did the Action Comics homage there, and then she returned for this issue and she did the Incredible Hulk homage.
Oh, the one with the spoons?
Yeah,
Yes. And there's Lane Lloyd. Unmistakable.
Pizza.
Very distinct style
Pizza.
there.
I worked with a local pizza company and got their pizza box on the inside of the first issue.
Nice.
And I had a launch party with them for the first issue, and 25 copies were given away and everything. I got free pizza.
Always a win. It is always a good time when you get a free
pizza's
pizza.
always the way to go.
Mhm.
Yes.
I will not say no to free pizza.
How many variant covers did you do?
For this one, I had 3 covers in total, and then I added the tower that was a holofoil, so I had 4.
Gotcha.
So three variants.
And pizza.
Dude, I love it. It looks cute. At the same time, it looks like anybody can just jump in and have fun with this.
Yeah, that's another thing I appreciate about this story is that like, yeah, it's all ages, but it's not insulting to a child's intelligence. Like there are all ages writers where they're just like, you know, there's never going to be any problems ever. Everything's going to be great. We can't stress out the kids or whatever. And it's like, that's not what happens here. Like, it's not stressful, but it's also not something that like kids would get bored of because there's actual conflict. There's actual like character development and stuff. But then also an adult like myself can pick it up and be like, what a great story. What a great little story.
That was the goal.
Well, you just brought up something that I would like to ask. How many of you write specifically for children?
Ooh.
Or projects for children?
Nothing I make should ever be shown to a
Like
child.
right now, or plan to write in the future?
Oh, either or.
Oh, I plan to. I mean, I'm so like I mentioned before we went live, like I was a high school English teacher. Now I'm a full-time reading specialist. So I deal with closing reading gaps with kids in 3rd and 4th grade specifically. And since like starting this journey, I mean, I started January of 24. So I guess grad school probably started a year before that, 2 years before that, off and on. I've become like fascinated by just Lexile, reading levels, what's appropriate for a 3rd grader. Sometimes like you pick up a children's book and you think it's good for whatever, a 10-year-old, and it's either way too easy or way too hard. You know what I mean? And
Gotcha.
I'm like really interested in just vetting some of the language, not because I think it's inappropriate, but just because like, is it rigorous? Is it too easy? Are they going to stay engaged? Like a lot of my kids love reading Dogman, and I'm like, Dogman, for a 3rd and 4th grader, it's a little too easy. So like, it's great they're reading comics, but like, if we want to close gaps or really challenge them, maybe something like Amulet is probably better because that's a little bit more rigorous. So I'm like also looking at all these other things in the marketplace where I'm like, okay, these guys are doing it. These guys and gals are doing it really good. These guys and gals are doing it good, but for 2nd graders, you know what I mean? It's way more difficult than I thought it was going to be trying to vet appropriate age levels for reading.
Right.
That's a fascinating thing to study. I'm sorry to cut you off, but like, wow, like it's something that we never consciously think about, where it's like, what can a 3rd grader or 4th grader read? Or knowing that newspapers are like a 5th grade reading level, and then you as an adult see words where you're like, I got to break out the dictionary. Sorry.
Yeah, and you don't want to give because psychologically, I think kids are thinking, well, this is a comic, I should be able to read it. And then if they're already a reluctant reader, they pick up the comic book and they start moving through it, and they're like, I don't know any of these words, but I like the characters. Sometimes that's good because maybe they start looking them up. But in other instances, I've seen it, they just get discouraged because they shut down because they're like, man, I couldn't read chapter books, and I thought reading comics would be easier, and I'm having a hard time with the comics, so I guess reading just isn't for me, period. Right?
So I also have a teaching background.
Oh, nice.
I used to teach special ed, and I came across again social media. I don't know how real it is, but there was supposedly this film that Disney did years ago, and the writer director, I think he lost his child and his wife, like maybe 20 months before working on the project. So even though it was dark, it became extra dark, and they eventually did the test, a lot of the testing, and they shelved it because it was basically a horror film almost, and they were like, this is too much for kids. And I found that super fascinating because like, how much is too much, and then Jim Henson had the same issue when he did The Dark Crystal.
Exactly.
A lot of the feedback was like, well, this is too much for kids. And he's
super
like, well,
terrifying.
But kids need to be afraid. They don't need to laugh all the time. They need to have all the buttons, all the emotions pushed. So I was wondering, like, when you guys create, do you think of that? Do you think like, well, what, where do you create the parameters? Where do you say that's too far, or no, I'm not going further enough for the development of children? So just curious what you guys.
Also, I gotta say, as a kid, I laughed at horror movies, so.
But you're special. I noticed that even before the show started. You're a little different.
I'll take it as a compliment.
It's funny that you guys are talking
totally
about
is.
this because as a kid, and I talk about this on the show all the time.
Right.
I started reading through comic books. I started reading, and I started reading Fantastic Four, and I know exactly what you're talking about, Carmen, because I would read the Fantastic Four, and like thermonuclear,
It's dense, man.
I wasn't gonna let that stop me because I'm like, okay, these guys are saying something. I want to know exactly what they're saying, and I would do the research, And so I realize now that's one of the reasons why I should have become a writer at that point. But it's just something, and I also feel like at that point, comics were a medium where they would do something, and it technically was for everybody. Especially because they had the code and all this and that. But at the same time, it was still written towards adults. But it wasn't like dumbed down towards kids.
Yeah, it's tough. I work part-time at a comic book store too, so I'm every Tuesday, Wednesday nights, I'm there, and we're always having conversations of like a kids rack. What's on the kids rack? What makes sense to put there? What do we not want to put on the kids rack? Right? Like you don't want 90s X-Men sometimes for parents who don't want their kids. It's really a delicate dance. Like one series that we really fell in love with was Lumberjanes. Like if you have not read Lumberjanes, that is like a great, like if you're looking for like where's the box, I think she does a really good job living inside of that box. My fourth graders really like it. Third graders though, not so much. Third graders, it's a little bit too at least for my group, right? Like I don't know, they just don't get the humor yet, which is a whole other thing. You're like,
what's the premise? What's the premise of Lumberjanes?
A bunch of girls go to like a butt kicking all girl summer camp in the woods that may or may not be surrounded by aliens and haunted things. So like these girls are always getting into trouble wandering out into the woods, and calamity ensues and they discover these things, and there's all this bigger stuff that's going on. But it's very, very cool. I love it.
It's so wild what a year can make, though, because you're like, third graders, fourth graders, they're probably not much of a difference. And then you see the difference and you're like, why is there a difference?
Yeah, the reading levels are like third and fourth, or like second to fourth grade. The reading levels are insane. And I'm just saying, like, there are definitely second graders that read on a fourth grade level. Yeah. There are fourth graders. Like, I get all that. But just if you're trying to shoot for a demo and you're like, I want to write for this group, 100% do your research and just play around with, like, I'm a firm believer in there's so much good stuff on the shelf right now. Find whoever's doing the best stuff. And I'm not saying emulate it, but study it. I think some people don't like that because they're like, well, if I look at who's doing the best stuff, that's going to ruin my creative blah, 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 blah. Right. Where my thing is like, it lets you get real reps in with who's like, if you're going to go to basketball practice, maybe you probably want to practice with Michael Jordan if you could, you know what I mean? You also might be a terrible coach, but you want to at least get a couple reps in with him, you know what I mean?
Yeah, let him kick your ass, see what he does, study and learn, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. I think
wait a minute. I'm gonna write down every time there's a violent message. We hit like we're like 16 now.
It's rookie numbers.
I don't think, like, I wasn't raised with the whole thing. Like I said, you know, I just read whatever. If the comics were there, I did what I did, and it's I think that's the same way I write. When I've been working on my comic book Hugbert, you know, it's set up so that kids can enjoy it and read it, and there's lessons there that kids would learn if they did. But I don't feel, and it's the same thing as an adult. I don't talk down to kids. I don't dumb down my language. Right. So, you know, I just say what needs to be said, and they'll follow along. They'll figure it out.
And that's the best way to go. Like, never try to. Oh man, what's the word? It begins with a P. Placate? No. Patronize. And don't try to patronize the children. Don't try to, like, you know, coddle them and just have nothing ever happen in your story. Like, I read your script. I told you it was solid. Yeah, it made me emotional, which, you know, that's hard to do.
And that's one of the reasons I like Jeff's book so much, is because it's like right down my alley. You know, I got my teddy bear superhero, and you got your dinosaur friend here, and I really love it.
Thank you. I kind of had the same goal. I wanted it to be all ages, but I didn't want to write a kid's book. I wanted it to be kind of like a blockbuster that the whole family would be excited for, even if you're an adult or a 10-year-old, 8-year-old.
Or if you're sitting reading it to your two cats. That's
right. Right. Everybody.
Yeah. Have you seen The Wild Robot yet?
Oh, I love The Wild Robot.
My daughter is making
no spoilers. I haven't watched that yet. No spoilers.
No spoilers.
Bring tissues, dog. Bring a ton of tissues for The Wild Robot, but third grade book.
Oh,
like perfect for third graders.
I keep forgetting that it's an actual book.
Yeah,
a book series. Actually,
it's very good. It's very good.
Yeah. They already started on part 2.
Yeah,
they greenlit it already. I didn't see it yet because I keep hearing bring tissues. I'm not ready for that.
Dude, I got to tell you, if you go see Wild Robot,
Uh,
prepare to be.
see, I'm not
Oh my
ready.
God.
I'm not ready. The
For
way
tissues
everyone.
and security blanket. That's what I'm hearing. Okay.
But
Well,
Bring
no,
a teddy bear, man.
you made up a
It's
good.
like
Okay.
the movie Up. You know, the first
Oh.
15
Oh
minutes
my
of
God,
it,
yeah.
you're
Oh my
like
God.
crying your eyes out.
yeah, yeah.
Couldn't
Kiddie
get through
movie.
it.
Right.
And
What
you
are
know, the funny
doing?
thing is, kids are probably watching it and not quite getting it, and they're
Oh,
probably just
definitely.
sitting there, and the adults are just like, "Oh my God, the old lady!"
Oh,
So
man.
one of our third grade teachers taught the Wild Robot this year, and she was like, at one point, the whole class was sobbing.
Oh no.
Oh no!
For good, because it's not tragic like Up. I'll say it's a movie that very much so makes you feel appreciative, especially if you have
Exactly.
mentors, parents, loved ones in your life who have sacrificed things for you.
Yeah.
So I think it brings tears to people because it makes them kind of feel overwhelmed at the idea that, like, oh my goodness, there are these people in my life have done these things for me. So
and it also
it's
has-
good. Happy tears. Happy
Exactly.
tears.
It also has a beautiful unity story to it.
Yeah.
And at this moment, it's the movie you need to see.
Gotcha.
Oh man! Oh
Yeah,
wow!
gotcha. But you made a really good point with the well, definitely X-Men comic books, but just how like some random comics would just bring in science or politics or other things, and like for me it was GI Joe, the not GI Joe the comic book, but I got into it through GI Joe the cartoon, and there's a drastic different tone, but that's a whole nother thing. But with the cartoon, they would just like, especially the Serpentor days when they did that whole series, they started bringing up the science things and DNA and these history things that really got me to be more into all of that stuff. That if I, you know what I mean? So I think it is also amazing just how like just multimedia can really make a kid want to embrace science, technology, history, all this stuff, if it's done right. And then one thing they didn't do with that cartoon, they didn't really dumb it down.
No.
I mean, yeah, they had the high point.
You had a weather dominator, man.
Yeah, you had I mean, and then we find out that actually exists, but that's another show. Let's talk about
That's a tinfoil hat show.
Yeah,
I did not turn on the weather dominator a couple years ago when we had that blizzard. That's a lie, okay?
That's another show.
I don't believe you.
And if there's a post on Facebook that says I did, somebody's lying, okay?
Somebody's lying.
I think you
I'm not
protest
lying.
too much.
Jeff, tell the people where they can find your book and all the beautiful stuff, and where they can find you. That way, they can go looking for you.
On Kickstarter, you can find Kid Cretaceous number 1 through 2, and on all social media, it's at Comics and Cosmos.
All right, I'm gonna take this, copy it, put it into the comments section. That way, nobody goes, "Wow, I don't want to go look for it," because I don't research like you do.
Well, I was gonna back it, but I didn't want to type in the link.
I'm so tired.
Oh my god, it's so hard, guys.
Oh my
I
god.
feel like that's a specific viewer that you're mocking.
Yes.
And I'm just I'm curious about this person.
Yes, and he gets
I played
upset
the
every
fifth.
time I do it.
And it's funny because it's like you're not even talking about him specifically, but
No.
he feels called out. So you know what?
Well, we're calling you out
Every
again.
single
Just
time.
letting you know.
Sorry, guy.
Yeah.
Every
Oh, sorry.
single time. Who else was gonna leave or needs to leave early?
Depends on how much what time we going to.
Yeah. What's late?
Yeah. How about that?
Well, that all depends on how we geek out.
Oh snap! Got him.
I'll probably be. I can stay till 8.
It's
But
8:09.
it's 8 already, man.
I mean 8. I'm sorry, 8:30. My bad.
Okay.
I see what you did there.
8:30.
I see what you did.
He left
there.
10 minutes ago.
All right. Who
Oh
needs
my
to
god,
go
who are we
next?
talking to?
That's the question. Who needs to go next?
Probably.
All right, I guess.
Common.
I
I'm
guess
here
me.
forever, so you know when you
Yeah,
guys leave, I'll
I'll
still
be
here.
I'll be good till 8:30 as well.
All right, so yeah, whoever wants to go next then.
Geekcaster, after you, go for it.
Well, I don't even know what I'm supposed to be doing. What's happening?
Are you? Wait, I don't know.
I'm new to this.
So am I. Are,
Geek. Don't worry about Geek. Geek came in as one of my guest hosts.
oh, okay. All right. I didn't know if you had a Kickstarter. I was like, oh, I'll let him go.
Oh no, Geek doesn't have a. He has a show.
Okay.
He'll talk about that later.
Well, yeah, I'll go right after you. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, then I'll do mine.
Okay.
Yeah, screw you.
Right. Yeah. Why not? So Proctor is a 6-issue miniseries. You can see the little subtext right there. Imagine if your favorite vampire slayer had a drinking problem and a toxic relationship with her mom. Now ask her to save the world. In the story, mom's a famous witch. Dad's a famous demon hunter who passes away when she's younger. She is a 27-year-old with an art history degree. Can't find a job. Doesn't want to move back in with mom. So she starts hunting demons to make ends meet, and calamity ensues.
Okay, I love that the dad died because fictional moms always die. So like bonus points that the mom stays alive. I like
Yeah.
Oh, you
Thank
got
you.
pizza. You need the pizza in there.
Yeah, those were very specific notes to Andrea Scalmazzi, who did that cover. That was cover B for issue 1. And when we got it, I was like, this is going on everything.
That is an entire mood right there. I
Yeah,
love
so
it.
it's actually going to be so this is the sample of the trade paperback that we are kickstarting. So so this is going to be the.
Oh wow, that looks good.
That's
Love
cool.
it.
That looks sweet.
Thank you.
Yeah. So hey, can I ask you?
Yeah, sure.
Because I was looking up your profile. So you said it's a 6-issue miniseries. I see 3 issues have been kickstarted already. Are you doing the rest as part of the trade? How are you doing that?
Yeah, so the trade consists of issues 1 through 3, and it consists of 2 illustrated short stories. So this started as a 300-page book.
Oh, cool.
And
Whoa.
there were chapters that I pulled from the book that couldn't fit in like the narrative of the comic. You only have so many pages. And really, like, I'm learning as a writer, you really have to write within the financial frameworks of your budget, right? Like you can't.
True story.
Yeah, like you really do. I've learned about the comic book business with a capital B, and I am like, I've realized like I'm just as much of an entrepreneur as I am a writer, creator at this point. And you realize like, okay, well, there are certain things I just can't financially do.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to leave some of these chapters on the cutting room floor. So I repurposed them as short stories, and it's not exactly the book because I had to kind of open them up a little bit, which was actually ended up being way more fun to do. And then I hired an artist to do interior splash inks. So like this is also inside the trade paperback. Right. So I hired an artist to do these the splash inks over here. It's like every so often. So this is the first short story. The inks were done by Rafael Luero, who is currently doing Dazzler for Marvel right now. And then the cover was done by, this is the cover of the short story. This was done by Fico Ocio, who's currently on Black Lightning, and Kill All Immortals, I think, is him right now. And then I have a second one. The style changes a little bit. So it's got a little bit more of a manga style. This is the cover of the second short story. It's done by Gerardo Gambone. He just did an issue of Gargoyles for Dynamite. And then like this is his interior style right there. So that's what you're getting. You're getting issues 1 through 3 and those 2 short stories. So it's like 140 pages of content. And then issue 4 is going to go live in May. 5 will go live in October. 6 will go live in January of next year. And then I'll do a volume 2. I still want to do the short story thing. So what I'll probably do is release a second set of 2 short stories in that second volume. The short stories I also published individually. I published these at Fireball Printing in Philly, but they're like tinier. And this kind of helped me just get started with everything after issue 1 came out. Again, it became an issue of like margins and really trying to make sure I have additional things to sell while still keeping true to the story. If I'm going to upsell, you know, I hate that term. It's yucky, but
it's such a slimy term.
It's a slimy term, but I think it's like if I want to introduce people to more of my world, that like the short story kind of works best for me and what I do.
But there's a limitation when you're doing the comic book. Like you were just saying, there's certain things you can do, certain things you can't do. When you do the short story, it kind of extends it more. You actually see a bigger picture.
Correct.
Because the short story allows you to add more stuff that you wouldn't have been able to do in the comic book.
Yeah, and I'm falling in love with doing it. I love. I'm bringing Gerardo Gambone back for the short stories, so I'm going to work with him again. It allows me to work with a different team, because again, timelines matter a little bit more. You only get your artist for so much time, and all that stuff starts moving around. So it just gives you. I'm a lot more mobile, if that makes sense, with my storytelling when I also move forward with the short stories. The only tough part is the margins on short stories get a little. They're good because I'm not paying pages, right? I'm not worrying about every issue of my. I'm always like super transparent with all this sort of stuff. Every issue of my comic cost me $6,000 before print, right? So a short story I can get out for way less, but the cost to print is more expensive. So you kind of have to play around with that. So that's one of the reasons why Volume 1 is built the way that it's built, right?
Carmen, I'm happy you went in this direction because it's one of those discussions that we try to have on the show because people go, oh, how do you do a comic book? And I feel like people think it's just like either writing a script or writing a short story, but it's not, because you have to be very specific on how you're doing the book. Because, if you're doing a comic, I think a lot of writers forget that they're doing the comic book and the artist is going to tell half the story.
Yeah, I mean, I think it really just depends on your relationship with your artist, right? Like your audience is your artist first and foremost. They're the one that's going to have to interpret whatever it is that you're writing. But I do think there's no real rule for writing a script for a comic book. Like I did research. It was like, I'm going to look at an Alan Moore script and was like, well, not doing that because it was just like a wall of all capital lettered.
You might as well write a novel.
Right.
Yep.
Like, so it really depends. Like I looked at some Bendis scripts. I looked at some Snyder scripts. I think they all do it a little bit differently.
I bet you if we showed everyone's writing style, their script, everyone would be different, even here.
Oh, definitely.
100%.
Yeah.
I don't even write scripts.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Like
Well, I'm my own artist, so I don't need to.
Right, and it really just depends. So long story short, that's why, and then that's why you get the 1 through 3 in the short stories and the 140 pages.
The other reason I'm happy you said that, Carmen, is because as I've been doing Hugbert, as I've been trying to get my book out there, I've had like different thoughts on how to do it, and one of them was to like make it a little simpler, like do splash pages, and then just write the little story like it's a kid's story.
Yeah,
that way it can actually get done. The way it should get done. And I might do both. I might actually do the kids version and the comic book, depending on how it goes.
Yeah, I got the idea from a couple of different places. So the first 2 places, just an old Winnie the Pooh, like those old chapters where the stuff was right there. Mm-hmm. And then where the sidewalk ends, right? All that sort of stuff with that art. And then just coincidentally, I'm working at the comic book shop, and one of my buddies I work with is like, yo, this just came in and I don't even have it laying around. But it was just like, it was from like the early 90s. And it was literally just one page was text and the other page was black and white art. That was it. And
that's how they do light novels, isn't it, in Japan? That's how they do light novel manga.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's really... I'm sorry.
I was thinking of the vampire novels, like from back in the day. They were like big prose novels, but they had like illustrations kind of like splattered out like between like walls of text and stuff.
Yeah, there's really I'm learning the more I'm doing this is like there are no rules to this thing. I think we get caught up sometimes in like where like what we think it needs to look like, and so I came up in like the punk rock emo scene. I played shows. I did the singer-songwriter thing. Like, I played on the radio, we licensed songs to MTV. Like, it went pretty well. And I realized, like, if people think it's dope, then they think it's dope. You just don't get too brainwashed with, like, the hometown gas of, like, your mom and your friends telling you it's good, right? Because that'll send you in the wrong direction, too. But, like, I always used to think of, like, if I can do this right and I play a show, if someone I don't know comes up to me and says, "Hey, I like that thing that you did," I'm like, that's a breadcrumb. Like, that's the direction I'm going to run in. And like, you just kind of have to take a ton of risks. I didn't think the story thing was going to go. In my mind, I was like, I just need to have something else to sell.
I get you.
They can build my story. But two things happen really interestingly. Number one, everyone's buying the short stories. Like, I've sold like 250 copies of issue 1 and almost 200 copies of not issue 1, sorry, 250 copies of the first story, almost 200 of the second. The second's only been out for like 5 months.
Wow.
And
Congrats.
yeah, and like people have come, like they've purchased stuff at conventions. So I did a Monster Mania convention, which if you do horror stuff, highly recommend doing a monster show. Those conventions are awesome. But like, I sold something Saturday to people, and then Sunday they came up and they talked to me, but they talked about the short story, and I was just like, that's pretty cool. Like, you wanted to go out of your way to talk to me about the thing that I love, but I just didn't put as much, like, I don't know, it just didn't have the weight that I thought it was gonna, and I guess it did. And then recently someone else asked me, they were like, "Hey, I really want to know what happens to this character." And I was like, that's the character from the short story. It's kind of so wild that you're connected there. And it means the world to me, because these characters are like love letters to people in my life who in some instances aren't here anymore. And the book is really about me, who I am, what I've been through, and the reason why the protagonist is female. It's a love letter to all like the really funny, messy, beautiful women in my life. Like, I have really funny aunts, and my wife is just awesome, and she's a goofball. And it's I didn't see a character like that really in mainstream comics. So like, I wanted to do that, but also like a lot of it is me unpacking my stuff. So when people are like, "Oh, I really love Sam," I'm like, okay, well, that's the central protagonist. That's cool. But then they're like, "And I also really like this other little thing that you did." And I was just like, that's me unpacking my trauma. This is awesome. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, that's that stuff. So
that's what we do, folks.
Yeah.
Right? You know, right?
It was
Who
cool
needs
watching
therapy?
these things. Yeah. It was cool watching, well, me, but it was cool watching those things land. You know what I mean?
Comics are still cheaper than therapy.
True. Though,
Not
after
making
this
them.
year, who knows?
After this year, yeah, I don't know, but for the meanwhile.
Yeah, man. It's been a whole year that lasted 1 month.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Oh,
So yeah, that's the
That
pitch.
is very
kind of
true.
like spiraled a little bit, but I get super passionate about margins and the storytelling stuff, and kind of
That's what
having
we're supposed to do. You know,
navigate it,
I find that what I end up finding, because a lot of people always ask, how do I get into writing? How I do this? How I do that? And every once in a while, like you'll find somebody, and you sit there and you try to explain to them, just write, and then they'll go, "Oh, stop gatekeeping." And I'm like, no, you got to write, because if you don't write, then you don't get better, and if you don't get better, then you don't become a better writer, and if you don't become a better writer, then your story's not going anywhere.
Right.
And then right away they'll go and disparage themselves and say, "Well, I don't have any stories to tell," and I'm like, everybody has a story to tell. The thing is what Carmen's talking about is that ability to be passionate about writing what you want to write.
Yeah, for sure. And if anybody's looking for like an entry point of like how to start writing, Stephen King's On Writing is like, should be #1 piece of reading material, because he kind of unpacks that and navigates that in a lot of really fun ways.
You're not the first person on the show to recommend that, so
Oh,
it must
man,
be
that-
like incredibly
Stephen
valuable.
King's On Writing and Tim O'Brien's The Things They Carried are like my two. Moby Dick is #3, but I get it, and nobody has time for that. But those are my.
I was gonna say, ain't nobody got time for that.
Those are my 3 right there.
Dude,
Those are my 3.
if you guys want to give yourself a nice little headache, read Don Quixote.
Oof.
I'm
I
out.
don't think I ever finished it.
I'm out. But yeah, so
and the Phantom of the Opera is another one that if you give a chance to read it, it's a whole other thing.
Interesting.
For those books, yeah.
It's work.
And it's so
also-
funny because these books are like books that everybody, oh my god, these are classics and stuff. And I feel like as a writer, you should read these books, because you go, wait a minute, this guy's book, it's not that good.
It's like, if
You
he
didn't
can
write
make
it
it,
that
I can
well.
make it.
True. I'll give you that.
But I like that you touched on the fact that there's no right or wrong way to get your story out there. I had a friend who actually fell prey to the whole, like, oh, I got to find out, like, what's the best formula to write a comic? Like, what are the rules? Like, oh, no more than 200 words per page. Oh, no more than this, no more than that. And then he just gave up.
I think, well, it's weird. This is gonna rub people the wrong way.
Oh, bring it
But I'm
on.
gonna say it anyway.
Bring it.
So there are no rules, right? Because I think there's you can do what you want, right? And you should experiment. But at the end of the day, you have to sell your comic.
Yep.
And there is best practice when it comes to what you should be doing, not from a sales, from a storytelling perspective. There's something that you should be doing. Dude, everybody tries when they're younger. You got to revisit Moby Dick. You got to revisit it. Anyway, I don't want to
Gotta
get
come
into
back to that.
but anyway,
that
there's like, I think there's best practice of like what works most of the time for general storytelling, and then unpacking that, and then like there's no rules to writing the script, but I do think if you're gonna, exposition, rising action, climax, falling action, resolution, that sort of stuff, like
that's important.
Like watching like a I mean, my comic starts, and because of Raiders of the Lost Ark, I was trying to figure out how to. I had that because it was a book, right? So my comic was a book, and I workshopped all these different ways of opening the comic and opening the story. And I went back with Ricardo, who's my primary artist. By the way, everybody should follow Ricardo Cecchi. He's a monster of an artist. He's the guy who does all the interiors and cover A of all of my books. But Ricardo and I were going back and forth about what would work. And then eventually I was just kind of thought we'd start it with her like stepping in the mud and already being in the middle of the action. And I realized like, oh wait, like I didn't do it because I didn't do it and then realize that that's what George Lucas does. I just was watching Indiana Jones and was like, this guy's a genius. This is the best way to start a story. Now I'm not comparing myself to him at all, but when it comes to like, I think executing some things that gets readers in, I do think there are these like best practices that sometimes work to make sure that it lands, because you only anymore, we know that a reader only gives you whatever, however many words. Like you only get the first however many pages. If you're going to pitch to an indie and you want to get picked up, what do they want? They want 5 pages of sequential art. That's it.
Yeah.
Right? So, and your 1-page synopsis, and that's all you get. So you kind of have to get into the framework of like, can I execute? Or what are the best practices to executing a 1-page synopsis? What are the best practices to telling, to hooking a reader with 5 pages of art or whatever? Now, can you do it a bunch of different ways?
That.
I know. Listen, I know.
No pressure.
I hate it.
It rubs people the wrong way.
And
I get it.
But it kind of is how it is, and like you got to be realistic about it. I think going back to like what you were saying about the Raiders of the Lost Ark stuff, like all that stuff that you've watched, it just goes into that blender, and you sort of reinterpret it. You kind of regurgitate it, or like I'll just go back and watch things and be like, well, how did they execute this? Just for inspiration for how I might do it. And Carmen, you were saying like you're a musician, so I think writing is a lot the same way, right? That it's like, well, you got scales, and like this is a tritone, this is how you make a chord, 1 4 5. That's a pretty basic chord progression. But at the end of the day, you gotta play by feel. So you know what I mean?
And I'm happy you brought up the songwriting thing. So I taught a class called Pop Culture and Media Studies for a couple of years, and through teaching the class, you learn about all these like obscure facts about pop culture. And one of the things you realize is you learn about was that like, oh, you out of here?
Yeah, I'm out of here. Sorry about.
All
That's-
good, man.
He's
No
like,
problem,
I do not want
Um,
to talk about music. I am
No.
out.
God, y'all were
You learn,
boring
like,
the shit out of me. What's wrong?
when you started to record music, it killed jazz in a lot of ways. Jazz musicians were like, what are we going to do? Like, we're used to just riffing for 2 hours, but now we have to write music that's going to be played on this thing that people can listen to
Right.
over and over and over again. So we have to reevaluate how we're delivering music. Even now, people are changing the way they write. And this is, again, I'm not saying I agree with it, but right now people are reevaluating how they write songs because they have to make sure that people listen to the first 30 seconds of their song.
Exactly.
So we're starting the song with the chorus so that you listen through the chorus, the artist gets paid, and then the song. Now, is it right? I don't know.
I'm
but
sorry, but I'm just thinking about Dio's Holy Diver, where the first 45 minutes are just like wind blowing sound. I mean, 45 seconds are just like wind blowing sound effects and just
Yeah.
like creepy sounds, and then it jumps into like what is like an absolute banger of a song.
Yeah, it's tough. And the question is like, would that work today? Would it get people
No,
invested?
not at all.
Might not.
Right. But would that? Here's the thing, though. I think they would write, if they were writing for today's market, they would probably be able to land, like they could do it. You know what I mean? I believe that they would be able to write a song that would be just as good,
Right.
but just under the new
You just change
demands
the
of the
times.
marketplace. Yeah. Yeah.
But it's so funny that you say that because, like, take Metallica for example. Anytime they do any of that stuff, their fans automatically are like, they're selling out.
Metallica can't win. Sometimes I feel bad for them, but then I remember how much money they have, and I don't feel bad anymore.
Yeah.
They're doing all right. Yeah.
Yeah. So there you go. That's I don't think I talked about Proctor like at all really, but that's my book.
No, I feel like you sold Proctor just by talking about what you talked about.
Yeah, because like
Um,
you know what you're talking about, so
Exactly.
and what you're doing. So
Yeah, and
You're good, you're
the
good.
influences seem cool, and the art looks great.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, that's cool. I'm looking forward to this. When do you launch?
So right now you can just sign up to get notified. It officially is going to launch. I think I'm doing March 3rd.
so am
Um,
I.
Oh well,
We're twins.
let's do it.
Yeah,
Let's
launch
promote
buddy.
each other's stuff.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Let's stay in touch.
are you doing the full month?
I'm doing like 24 days, which is longer than I usually go. So we'll see how I
Interesting.
last.
Why? Now I'm gonna just again nerd out to the whole marketplace thing. Why 24 days? Why not
Tell
30
them
or?
first, yeah.
I don't have the energy for 30. I do all of
Okay.
the art and the writing and the kickstarting. Like my bandwidth is incredibly limited. Usually I do 18 days. So like
Oh whoa,
even,
okay.
yeah, even 24 days is just like
Especially is trying to avoid that middle part where nothing happens.
yeah, I mean
The
there's a
middle
lot
part.
of there's a lot of dead zone that happens. So it's like
I've tried to shorten mine and it didn't work out, so I'm never doing it again.
Oh wait,
I
you tried
launched on
shortening
a
and it didn't work.
I launch on a Tuesday and end on a Friday because it's payday Friday.
yeah,
Mm.
fair. Yeah, I've done 21 days and I noticed shortening down from 21 days to 18 days, I lost like nothing. Like I was still like getting more backers per campaign, still getting more funding. And I'm like, okay, so I'm doing something right. I don't have to like kill myself for 30 days because I do not have the energy
think
for
that,
that.
that one of the good things that Kickstarter has added is the whole thing where you can continue to pledge
Oh, I don't do that.
after the
Yeah,
fact.
like I am doing on this one. This is my first one to see how it works and if it's worth it.
I don't want to do that and lull my backers into like, oh, you know what? I don't have to back during the
yeah.
campaign. I can just get the late pledge and then they never do. So
Yeah,
I'm
I-
like, this is your
I
time
did that-
limit. This is what you get. Otherwise, you get nothing.
Oh wait,
Yeah.
before I forget, can I just pitch one thing? It's so rude of me that.
Oh yeah, go for it.
But I just want to show you guys the one thing that to try and combat that. Hold on.
Uh-oh.
Oh, what's he
He's
doing?
gonna go get it.
Where's he going?
He doesn't come back.
Okay, I'm back.
He comes back, but he's in like demon form.
I'm so excited about this. So I stole this idea, so it's not my idea. Junie Ba just did a trade paperback hardback through Goats Flying Press. Awesome people. But Junie did like this 3-minute sketch that he was going to give to the first 100 backers over the course of the first 72 hours. So I was like, I really love that idea. I want to do that. So Ricardo hand drew 100 of these.
Whoa.
There's only 100. And
I would die if I had to do that.
And yeah, so you've got the first 72 hours, first 100 backers, and it's the same exact price as the regular cost of the book. So, the goal is, again, I was thinking about doing late backers and I wasn't sure, but I wanted to encourage early backing. So I'm essentially just giving a piece of original art away for free to the first.
It is a good way to do it. Yeah.
That back the campaign. So there you go. Sorry,
guys.
My brain.
Amazing. Yeah, I would die if I had to do 100 sketches.
I did late pledges on my last campaign, and it made backer kit more difficult. Like it had difficulty figuring out like what a late pledge was versus a regular pledge.
Yeah,
maybe they figure that out.
You have to contact backer kit and tell them you're doing it so they can like do something behind the scenes, right?
Yeah, and I did, but like it still made it more complicated, and like in a way, because otherwise I've done like I've put it up on in demand on Indiegogo, and at least with like that's a lot of work to set it up, but at least with that, they also have their native user base. So like you make a couple of sales on in demand, and then like if I made one sale, I'd make 3 sales, right? Because they would push it out to their user base, and more people would see it. So I don't know that I'm a big fan of late pledges on Kickstarter because I did it and it totally killed my in demand sales. I didn't get a single sale.
Interesting.
Good to know.
But that's
it's very complicated. My first time trying it, I'd mistakenly set all my rewards for at the end. So when I launched, there was nothing.
Whoa!
I panicked. No. People were messaging me like, because I was at work for like 3 hours. I couldn't do anything. I was at work. So for the first 3 hours of my launch, there was no rewards at all. So I made sure everything on this one was like at start.
You were building anticipation.
Yes. It didn't fund. I don't know if that was because of it. I don't know. So I'm relaunching after this one finishes.
But hey, this one's funded, so congrats!
Yay!
Yeah, that's always the thing, man. Once you get funded, that's when everybody goes, whew.
I don't know. Well, I don't count my chickens because I got funded last time and lost like over $700 in errored cards. So
we know that.
Oh yeah.
Wait! What happened?
Oh, you don't automatically get the money. I funded literally like $50 over the funding goal, and I lost like over 750 in errored cards.
Errored card. The credit. Right.
Yeah,
two of the highest tiers dropped out, and there was like 11 errored cards at the end of it.
So you didn't get any
I'll
of
tell
the
you
money.
something even more horrible is that I think Jeff had lost like 1,000 in errored cards like at the end of his campaign, and he had only raised like 1,400.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that was brutal. Like that was somebody deliberately did that.
Do you still get the other 400?
You can.
Yeah, you still get it. It's just that now you can't afford to print your comic.
Right.
Yeah, once you fund. Yeah. But you won't get all that money that you were supposed to get.
Right. I read some horror story on Reddit where someone got like held hostage essentially. Like the person that was doing the error, the cards was like, give me an additional X dollars or else I'll pull all of my backs.
Yeah, there's people that do that.
Mm-hmm. Oh my
it's gross.
God.
Yeah, it's like it's pretty
people.
bad.
Wow.
Now you know why I'm so violent.
See, it'd be nice if Kickstarter, as soon as you pledge, it like does a quick kind of test to see if your card is valid, and then it will stop you like counting you as a backer, and it give you a warning like your card is not reading. Please do it so you can pledge. At least then you know up front this guy's backed, but he's errored. His card's errored. So they hold it in the background, so it doesn't even count as you go back as a backer.
Yeah,
I mean, it doesn't take much to
Aaron,
do it.
give me 1 second.
Do extra work? Never.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Give me 1 second. Geek, you gotta go. Why don't you tell the people a little bit about yourself? Give them the spiel before you go.
So let's see. Well, the spiel, I guess, at this point, which would be relevant, and I'm super exhausted because right now I'm actually building soundstage recording studio and a podcast studio. So the goal is to all the beautiful creations that you guys do is to turn it into films and turn it into animation. So you would use my company as a production company to do those wonderful things. We just the company Geekcaster, we just finished like a sci-fi script with a director in Atlanta, and we had a really good run with this adult puppet comedy. It was on Amazon.
I love that guy.
Yep, it was on Amazon and Tubi for part of last year. That was great. So just doing more things.
Dude, I gotta say, I love when
yeah.
you take the puppet to the cons and you do the interviews with the puppet.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Appreciate it. So yeah, so I look exhausted only because I'm working hard to make you guys proud.
The struggle is real.
Dude, Geek works really hard. He's at almost half the conventions I go to.
Yeah,
which is already saying a lot.
Yeah, we go back, but no, I mean, I'm such a fan of creativity, which is the basis of Geekcaster. We just started to promote stuff and get around the whole pay to play thing, and we've been supporting bands and artists and things like that for a very long time. And I'm in awe of what you guys are working on. The struggle is real, but the passion is real also, and keep going because it's super important. From the spiritual side of me, also the educational side of me, I think a lot of us don't realize how important we are. There's a lot going on in the world. We don't have to go through it, but there's a lot going on. Even like you said, this last month, it feels like a year already. And the things that we say, the things that we don't say are super important. So please keep doing what you guys are doing.
Dude, you want to come back on the show? Come back anytime. You know that.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you. Yeah, definitely. And like I said, if you guys are doing any other kind of content with your properties, definitely hit us up.
Great to know. Thanks.
Sounds good. All right, have a good one.
Great chatting with you.
Great talking too. Awesome.
And then there were 5.
Dun dun.
Little by little, one by one.
The murderer is one of us.
Exactly.
We all know that.
It's meta.
Right, Aaron,
yeah.
Let's go with you since we were over there already. Tell the people all the beautiful stuff about your stuff. Go for it.
Okay, so Ice and Bone is a sequel to Blood and Fire. Blood and Fire follows Nakaki, who's a honorable samurai. He is betrayed by his master's younger brother, and basically he cuts through everybody seeking his revenge. And then Ice and Bone picks up several months after and continues the story. It's got supernatural horror elements, but if you like, death, blood, then this is definitely up your alley.
Dude, this feels so classic. It has that Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle feel to it.
I've kind of tried to kind of base it on anime. I've watched from Ninja Scroll, Samurai Champloo, Samurai X, Sword of the Stranger. So
I got some Ninja Scroll vibes. That's good. Yeah, very nice, dude. I may have misheard. Did you do the art as well?
Oh, hell no. Hell no.
Right.
I did not do the art. The artist is Ezekiel. He did my previous series as well, Enenra. It's kind of how I got into comics. So all my comic collection is Kickstarters. I don't have any Marvel, DC, any mainstream stuff at all.
Whoa! You don't have this is how you started reading, consuming the medium.
Yeah, This is how I started.
Oh, dude, good on you, brother. That's awesome.
Yeah, I don't have anything. So Enenra actually started out as a TV series. So the agency I was with didn't really get any traction, but Ezekiel was on their books for doing art, posters and stuff.
Nice.
And we got together, and then Enenra issue 1 took so long to do because he was drawing off the TV script.
Whoa.
And so I revamped everything to comic strips, and we've been going ever since. And then issue 7 is launching May-ish. And then obviously this one's going really well. This is the
So
fifth in the series.
Are you published by Red 5?
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah, they've got the first 3 are Blood and Fire out. Issue 1 is sold out physically, so the only way to get it is through this Kickstarter. But I print it bigger. My prints are magazine size, so 8 by 10.5.
I love that classic feel.
Do you have the first? Do you print everything and then on the back end they pick it up and then distribute?
I print everything for me for the Kickstarter.
Yeah.
So you'll notice on their website the graphics for the title is different.
Oh,
interesting. So they had a graphic designer do the artwork for the title, where I just had Ezekiel do it, the artist, and he kind of made it so it's like transparent, so I can move it anywhere I want. So there's a slight difference, and obviously the size. When they print it off and get it imported, it's by the 500,000, whatever they do, and it's the normal comic size, where mine is magazine size. So you get.
I gotta say that's a good reason to support you on the Kickstarter, because you're getting a product that is not out there.
Also, magazine size is just nice to hold.
Oh, I love it. Yeah.
How does that translate when they print it at regular size? Like, doesn't the lettering shrink, or do you have to re-letter?
I format it for them. So I formatted it for their size, and then I format it for my size as well.
Do you do the lettering?
Like a lot of work.
I don't know. I have SK. He's a was it a Ringo? Award-winning. I keep forgetting the awards he's got. He's got so many nominations.
Is that 2 lettering fees that you kind of have to?
Navigate? No, he does it once, and I format it on the pages. For the decent size prints.
Now,
fuck's sake, fucking cat.
Every time. The money that you generate from the Kickstarter is yours, and then they just pick up and distribute, and then you guys have your own deal on that back end.
Yeah.
Very cool.
That's cool.
Very cool.
Yeah, so you get all the back issues, all the variant covers. I do metal prints as well. Again, I have to format that because it's slightly different. That's 8 by 10 rather than 8 by 10.5. So it's like slightly different, but I format it for the size.
Did they change the price point too? I'm sorry for all the business questions, but this is fascinating.
This is good shit right here.
Great shit. We need to know all of this.
Yeah.
So what is your retail cost on this? I can't see it. Can we scroll to the if I wanted to get the issue, what would that cost?
$15.
$15. Now, if I waited and then wanted to buy it on Red 5, still 15?
No, I think they do it for 5.
Okay, right, but you're not getting the magazine. You're not getting
book.
Yeah, it's a completely different product for sure. I'm just this is awesome. This is really cool.
Yeah, I love
the fact that if you buy the book from you, it's this, and if you buy the book over there, it's that. Which means that you're making sure these guys come over to you and buy the book from you.
Yeah, I mean it's I sign it as well. There's an add-on for like $5. I'll sign everything. So if you get collector prints, which are add-ons as well, for $5 I sign everything. And then obviously you get in a different size I think the size makes a difference because the artwork really pops, and it's really, I can't fault him enough. He's an amazing artist. He sent me the whole of issue 1 of Ice and Bone without sketches, and I changed 1 panel in the entire book.
That's awesome.
Wow.
Yeah.
But the art
also when they back the Kickstarter, like the Kickstarter stuff, like people get it first, and then the stuff comes out in the stores afterwards.
Yeah, because they won't print it until the whole thing is complete.
Yeah, so like
Nah.
back the Kickstarter, be the first person to get it. Don't wait till it's out in stores. Like
Exactly.
you helped
Who
to
do
make
you-
this happen.
Now, who do you print through for the magazines? For the magazine size?
With Comic Wellsprings.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Love them. Love them.
Yeah.
Love them.
Cool.
They've they're pretty good. They've,
So that's domestic digital, right?
Yes, it's
Yeah, they do
domestic
digital printing.
Yeah. Okay.
I like that you can like rack up points and get coupons. I'm a sucker for that.
Yeah.
Love my coupons.
This stuff looks fantastic.
Oh,
I
he's
love-
like,
I
that's enough
love the
questions. I'm
art.
done.
Love the art.
Yeah, it looks really cool.
It looks like exactly what it needs to be, and I love it when that happens.
So is that Henri's war line?
He's gone.
Oh, he's gone.
Someone killed him.
Hey,
It wasn't me.
which one of you guys got rid of the competition?
Who's gone? Oh, Aaron's gone.
Yeah.
He's officially. I was waiting for him to pop back up. I don't know if he's
Mic drop.
disconnected.
He's
I
out.
know. Let me see if he's all right. Maybe he messaged me.
Oh, there he goes.
Okay, cool.
This cat is a menace.
See, I didn't kill him.
The cat did it.
Now,
Dude, we would have never figured that one out.
No, you know what? Pumpkin's done that to me too. He's like straight up disconnected my camera and microphone because he's like, "You're not paying attention to me." So I believe it.
yeah, there you
Look at that. He's looking at he's like, dude, get off the screen. We're
God.
done.
talk to me, love me. No,
You're not paying enough attention to me.
Exactly.
I can't
Aaron,
even
I was
remember what else.
asking you if the war line, if that's Henri's war line.
Say that again.
Henri. You got a thing over here. Let me go back to it. Hold on.
Yeah.
You're talking about Henri Campen? Is that his name?
Yep.
Oh yeah. Warline.
Warline,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I
Yeah, we
thought.
did,
I'm looking at it going, this is like Henri's character.
Yeah. We did a crossover artwork for Blood and Fire, the last issue,
Yeah.
and yeah, it kind of helped our campaigns kind of merge, and I got Ezekiel to do artworks. We gonna says just have both characters, killing a massive horde, and that's what he came up with, and it kicks ass.
That's a good collab right there.
Yeah. I mean, I try when it fits, like because we did a crossover art for this one. If you scroll to like the top of the screen,
Hold on,
with Orders of the Dracula, so it's right at the top. Right at the top. You probably have to click on the story.
oh, okay, so all the way on
headliner.
top. Okay, hold
Yeah.
on.
See if you scroll up from there. So that's the crossover.
Oh, there
art
it
you
is.
get. Yeah. So you
Dude,
have
I
a
was
choice
looking
of,
at this before. It looks really nice.
yeah, you have a choice of which one. Unfortunately, the Joseph's Kickstarter has ended, but you can still get the art. All you have to do is message me to pay for his, so you can do
Oh,
either
that's pretty
digital,
good. Okay, I like
digital
that.
or physical, and I'll get him to send you the PayPal. You send him the PayPal, and then you get the crossover artwork.
Beautiful. Teamwork.
Teamwork makes the dream work.
Dude, this art looks amazing right here.
Yeah, Hernan, he's doing my Amor Patris, which is a supernatural horror. That's the one that is relaunching February 25th.
How frequently do you run Kickstarters?
As often as I can.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, you're busy, dude.
Yeah, I'm doing Amor Patris in February 25th, then Enenra issue 7 between that, and then I'm hoping to do issue 3 of Ice and Bone August.
And then do you
but
do conventions too?
I'm doing my first convention in
Oh.
June, so I'm
Ooh.
popping my cherry.
What are you doing in June?
Nashville.
Oh,
Oh,
nice.
Nashville.
Yeah, I went last year for my son. It's my son's birthday.
That's the way to
First.
start off with your first
yeah.
convention.
So we went down there. Carissa, a good friend of mine, and Ed.
You know Carissa.
He's
Cursa Grant.
Yeah.
Oh my god,
Yeah.
she's a beast.
Oh my god,
So,
yeah.
Absolute beast.
they were there, so I kind of like picked their brain about is it worth it? Is it,
Her
what's going on?
Kickstarter is live right now, right? Yeah.
That's
Yep.
like
Yeah.
one a month. I don't know how she.
Oh no,
has
no, no.
many
She
people.
still hasn't launched.
She's insane.
She just
I don't know.
finished one, I think. Yeah.
Yeah,
She
it was
still
the
hasn't
issue-
launched.
Yeah, it was issue 1 of her new Western setting.
Yep.
which
It did
which
great,
just finished.
too.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like
massive.
over 300 backers, which redonkulous.
Yeah,
But Carissa, she's a beast.
she is. She's a machine. I don't think she sleeps like Carmen.
Dude, I don't know how. I like when I say I did 26 events in a year. In my mind, that's way easier than doing a Kickstarter a month. Like you say, you do and I'm getting heart palpitations thinking about doing a Kickstarter. So I guess it's just more about like preferred pain or pain tolerance or like whatever you've built your calluses doing at that point.
That's right.
You just blink and then all of a sudden you're there because yeah, man, like one a month or one every other month is wild. Like I'm doing my first back-to-back. Like I'll do, the trade paperback in March, and then I guess April I'll run the pre-launch and then Mega. But even that, I am having just nightmares. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it is. It's stressful. I mean, I would not be able to do this without Kickstarter. Full stop.
Right.
But my wife hates it when I do Kickstarter because I get stressed out. I worry about everything from the pricing, shipping, printing.
As you should get stressed out because that's
do you get
Yeah.
anxiety dreams about your books coming back to you from the printers and like the pages are like out of order or it's missing some letters or something?
Oh yes.
Oh my God, I've had all these horror stories.
Yeah.
It's all happened to me. So
I gotta agree with Andrew. It does have a beautiful Vampire the Masquerade core clan book vibe. I don't know if you know about Vampire the Masquerade.
But like classy black and white sort of.
Oh,
look, right?
definitely, yeah.
Yeah,
So-
it's supposed to be kind of black and white kind of tone with only blood as the color.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, I have to print it as color, even
Yeah.
though 95% of it isn't.
my book's the same way. And it's a lot more expensive to print
That's
that blood.
brutal.
Yep.
It's the price of being a comic creator, one of many.
All right, next
Hey, I know
victim.
this
I mean,
Yeah.
Who's that guy? Who did that?
That is Ben Templesmith with that beautiful art.
that
It's
is
a
some
great
beautiful
cover.
art, though.
Yeah. So this is Deadskins. It's a zombie horror western comedy. I like to pitch it as Blazing Saddles meets The Walking Dead. And it's the 10th anniversary edition. We serialized it on our website 10 years ago. We completed the serialization. We gave it away for free on the website. Then we sold downloads for 99 cents. We thought we were going to be bajillionaires. Spoiler alert, we did not make $1 billion selling 99-cent downloads. We put it on Comixology for dirt cheap. Also did not become bajillionaires. But we started serializing it on Kickstarter about 5 years ago. And it was our most, every campaign was our most successful campaign to date at the time. And we have since sold out of the entire print run. And we're coming back to put it in a nice little hardcover collection that we're calling the 10th anniversary edition. And it's beautiful art by Leila Del Duca. Like we were saying, like Aaron's book, it's black, white, and red, which means it's a color book and a lot more expensive to print. But it's cool. We took Layla's pencils and it's not inked. When I kickstarted it 5 years ago, we kind of darkened the lines to sort of help the printing. And that made things kind of show up a little nicer. So this is that quote unquote remastered edition. And we've had like a bunch of different versions of this. There was like a totally color edition. That's what we serialized on the website. We came back and we did this black, white, and red look that we call the bareback edition because we kind of pared back some of the colors. And then now this kind of remastered edition. But it's about a Harvard dandy and his blind drunk companion, and they are all that stand between the Old West and a zombie apocalypse.
Also, the companion's quote unquote wife.
Yes. His wife is a donkey. Spoiler alert. There she is. There she is. Yes.
Aaron, who did you
There's
letter?
Sylvia.
Sorry,
It's Clay. Yeah, this is a guy named Charles Pritchett. He is now he was head of design at Aftershock, and he has now moved over to Mad Cave. And he's I don't think he's head of design of their main line, but it's like one of maybe like Paper Cuts or something. It's another one of their imprints.
I'm a nerd for lettering, and that lettering is awesome.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
exactly
he's
what it needs to be.
Yes, he's great. He's great. The original version of this I lettered. I'm a much better letterer now than I was then. So thank God that we hired Charles to redo the lettering when we did this bareback edition. He's great. I love Charles. He's really fantastic, and I'm really happy to see that his career has gone so very well since then. And same with Layla. She's blown up and done a bunch of stuff for Marvel and DC and Image, and deservedly so, because that's some gorgeous art.
Man.
Yeah, her style is really cool, especially because it's just the pencils. It's like, that's all you need.
Yeah. And so for this edition, we're going to do a whole bunch of special bonus features that we've never printed before. So like her sketchbook, sketches from, when she was designing the characters and things like that. I think we're probably going to print some of the pages without any of the color, just so you can see her pencils just kind of on their own, because they're just so fantastic.
You could do it like a coloring book for everybody.
Yeah. Absolutely. But it's 155 pages of story. And then I think the whole book is 172.
Nice.
Once we get all the special features in. So yeah, it's going to be a nice big book. A nice big tome. And then we're also doing, so you can see those are some of the covers that we had originally. So Ben Templesmith did a cover for us. Obviously, that's what we're putting on the hardcover. Takashi Okazaki, who did Afro Samurai. He's got a cover there. Tina Valentino, that's Brian Silverbacks you're looking at there. Joe Mulvey, Alex Cormack.
How do you message these people? I mean, I would have no idea. Like, oh, I want to get the artist from Afro Samurai and like message him up. Like,
well, so my co-writer on this, is Alexander O'Philippe, and he's a documentary filmmaker who's probably best known for People versus George Lucas, but now he's sort of he does like movies about movies. So his latest film is about Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It just won the Venice Lion at the Venice Film Festival for best documentary on film. He was chosen by William Friedkin to make the official Exorcist documentary. So he just did the official William Shatner documentary that I got to go to a screening of and have shots with Shatner. He runs in rare circles. So he had no problem reaching out to some of these people, and and sometimes it's just a matter of sending an email, because he has no problem just emailing people cold. And, sometimes he would email somebody, maybe they'd respond to him, but like we got Glenn Fabry, who did all the color covers for Preacher back in the day. We got a cover from him for another book. And Alex was trying to reach him, and for whatever reason that wasn't working. So I sent him an email and he responded to me. So sometimes you just got to be persistent.
Yeah. Cold emails are like, because the world's so small in that regard. Sometimes, as long as it doesn't get caught up in like a spam folder or like, in an Instagram DM hole, they get them and they're like, well, I have the time, I have the opening, you're going to pay me my rate. So my rate,
my money. Yeah.
Yeah. I got, I met him through a couple Philly events, but Ben Harvey, did a cover for me. And he's on like almost everything that Marvel's doing right now. But like, really, it was just like, hey, are you available? You know what I mean? It sounds corny, but a lot of the time it's just that. Yeah. Yeah.
And sometimes it's just, being as short and sweet as possible too. Like you want to introduce yourself, who you are, what you've done, why you chose them, like why you think they'd be right for that project. Yeah. But just a nice, direct, short email with an ask, and I don't know, see what happens.
Yeah, I'd be afraid they'd be like, "What? Who are
Who
you?"
the hell? Who do you think you are?
How'd you
Asking
get my
me?
name?
Yeah, but let them say that, like don't you decide that, you know what I mean? Let
I
them
gotta
tell you
say,
no.
one of the best ways to do it is at a convention because they're already
Sure.
there.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like they get kind of cranky at conventions.
Yeah,
They
I
probably
wouldn't
get
do
a
it.
lot of ridiculous asks.
Yeah.
Like,
I wouldn't do
Don't-
it. at
don't
convention.
corner
You
someone at
gotta
convention
like
and ask them
watch
to
and
draw
make
your
sure
comic.
that look, they're smiling. Get them now.
No way, dude. I'm better off. You're better off with an email.
Yeah.
That's
And
true, because their email they're probably checking like when they want to,
Yeah.
versus like they're cornered at a convention and tired and overwhelmed.
And
It's like you're right next to them at the urinal, like, "Hey, want to draw my comic?" And they're like,
Yeah.
you walk away and they're like, this guy, man. You know what I mean? I don't want to.
You
Yeah.
become the story.
You
Yep,
become
yep.
yeah.
I was at a urinal and this guy asked me to do his comic.
Yeah.
I
"You
did.
didn't even
You know
have
what?
to pee."
I did ask one guy once at a con, and you're right. That was the worst response I got was at a convention, because he was I was going through the original art. I had met him, and we had like got on. I met him through some friends or whatever. We had got on, and so I was like, "Yeah, I'll come by your table." I went to his table, and like his art was fantastic. I was like flipping through the books, and he was doing sketches and whatever. And I was like, "So do you ever do like covers for other people?" And he didn't even look up from his sketch, and he was like, "I'm really busy, man." And and I was like, "Oh,
Wow.
I thought we were getting along before, but all right. Well, see you later."
I just
Yeah.
realized I have to eat my words, because Don Aguilo, who is doing Scorched and King Spawn and all the stuff for the Todd McFarlane verse right now.
Yeah.
I walked up to him at New York Comic Con a year, like he was the first when I first did it, and I literally handed him the postcard. I was like, "Hey man, I'm looking for artists. If you're available, here you go." And he literally looked at the postcard, read the postcard, and was like, "Done, I'm in." And I was just like, "All right, cool." So I'm an idiot. Don't listen to everything. I'm for sure. Shoot your shot, dude. Don't
Shoot your shot. Don't expect a nice
Shoot your
answer.
shot.
Yeah, but sometimes
Don't
I think-
become the story.
Yeah, I think some dudes are just so tired. Like you're just so exhausted.
Oh yeah, definitely. That's what I'm saying though. Sometimes you got to pay attention to see what's going on. See, at the same time, I this is what I do for a living. I go to the conventions and I do these interviews, and I've gotten to a point now where I can look at somebody and go, "Don't talk to them right now."
You can read the body language.
Exactly.
Yeah, a very important skill that people sometimes overlook.
Oh, definitely. And because the people sometimes you're right. People are tired. People are doing, and I'll talk to people. I'll go and I'll have a conversation, and I'll even say, "You don't want to do an interview right now," and they go, "Oh man, Ralph, I really appreciate it."
How did you know?
Yeah, but
Good
it's the whole
mind.
thing. Mhm. I
Well,
love the
hopefully,
convention.
hopefully I'll get all this when I actually start doing cons.
Dude, the con circuit it's a lot. Like I'm doing the biggest one is I'm doing Awesome Con in DC.
I love Austin Con.
I
I
hate
heard that they see, like, at least in their marketing pitch deck that they send out to people, they saw like a foot traffic of like 62K.
They see a lot of people.
Yeah, but like I've never been to Awesome Con, but I've been to New York Comic Con twice, and I feel like I don't want to do New York Comic Con because
That's a valid feeling.
because it seems like it's more spectacle than anything else. And when it was recommended I do Awesome Con, my immediate response was, "Is it like New York?"
No.
And they were like, it's everything that you want comic wise, minus all of the spectacle. Now, I don't know, maybe things have changed. But like I did Baltimore, and that
Con is an actual comic con.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. It's like it's a little bit more comic focused. But I heard that about Baltimore, and Baltimore was pretty good.
Baltimore is a comic con.
It's definitely comics first.
Heroes Con is also
is there
very
a web-
comics centric.
Exactly.
I heard Heroes
Con.
is real dope.
Is there
I
somewhere
hated
where I
Awesome
can go and find a list of all these?
I wish.
So yes, there is. I literally, it just went down today because I sent someone the link. But if you just Google like list of comic cons in the United States, there was like the first hit listed every single event
Okay.
that popped up. And that's literally, I ripped that calendar and I kind of built my own around that.
I gotta say it's good, but you have to work it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm doing San Diego for the first time this year, and
cool.
that'll be interesting.
Good luck.
Good luck.
Thanks. But I like, because like, I mean, I've been to New York Comic Con too, and I'm kind of with you. Like, I don't know that I'd want to table there, you know, but
Dude,
but I'd said that about San Diego, and it's like, all right, well, I'll try it.
Yeah.
I tell everybody the same thing because people want to go. Oh, they're like, oh, well, Ralph, my first convention. What should I do? New York Comic Con? I'm like, no, do not do New York Comic Con as your first convention.
Right.
I go every year and I'm still overwhelmed.
The only thing that's nice about New York is if you want, as a fan, like this is just as a fan.
Yep.
If you want signatures and like original art, it's probably the only place in the country where you're going to get that stadium, like that stable of artists all in one location, because between like Essential Sequential and all of these other larger talent pools, like they're bringing, I swear to God, they just had a plane full of Italians that they just brought over because that whole crew was there, which was, it was super cool. So I think for that, it's probably the only place you can go. Like I'm a huge Rod Rice fan. And I got original art from Rod, and I talked to him at Baltimore, and he was like, I only do Baltimore, New York, and C2E2. And those are the only shows I do. So I feel like some artists only do them. And then I guess if you want like Golden Age keys, like my brother was shopping for a Batman 4. So if you're like, if that's the game you want to play, you know what I mean? Like you kind of have to go there. But other than that, yeah, it's like, it's a lot, man.
Did you say earlier, were you talking about horror cons earlier? Did I hear you say something about that?
Yeah.
Because
So
I did 2 horror cons last year, and they were my best cons I've ever done. Yep. And I'm like, amazing. I'm booking more this year.
Yeah. So
for sure.
In the Northeast, the big, at least from when I say Northeast, I guess that's not even true. I guess you're looking at like New Jersey, Philadelphia, New Jersey, PA, Maryland area. Monster Mania is the company that runs, like, they do 2 events in Jersey, 1 in Baltimore, and 1 in PA, and they just kind of rotate. And that was a great event. It's so busy, it's so booked out though that the Cherry Hill, New Jersey event, they grandfather you in. So once you get in, you know, you get first right of refusal. Cherry Hill this coming year only had 6 table openings.
Whoa.
Yeah, like that's the people now are just like, I'm never not doing this con.
Right.
So I also did an Oddities event.
Oddities, they're pretty good.
That was my best event.
Oddities.
I did it was a single day, 10 a.m. to I think 8 p.m. It was long, it was in North Jersey, but it was like an $800 day for me, and that was my best single day event. And it was like they had, I think the draw was a couple people from those like Discovery TV reality Ghost Hunter TV series.
Right.
So I think if your brand aligns with that sort of stuff, then I think you're good. Like that's why I think I do well at like punk rock flea markets, because it kind of works out. I was told that there are some anime cons that I really need to go to. There's one in like Lancaster, Pennsylvania that's pretty good. There's one in DC that's pretty good. I went to one in PA, and it's Memorial Day weekend. It's called Thy Geekdom Con, and I did pretty well. They seem to be less expensive to table too. I think for the whole weekend to do Thy Geekdom Con, it was $145 for 3 days.
That is a bargain.
It is it was awesome. Yeah, and
but are people looking for comics there so much?
Actually, they are.
It's funny you should mention that. I think those sorts of cons, whether it's horror, anime, oddities, those folks are better sports about trying something new.
Yeah.
Like they
Yeah,
are.
I got that with the horror cons for sure.
Yeah, they just want to experience something new, where my experience at like comic specific cons as a consumer myself, and I'm criticizing myself here, very particular about why I'm there. It's like, I have a run of Fantastic Four that I need to fill. I don't want to see anything else, and this is what I'm looking for. You don't.
And everybody's trying to sell you their indie comic, whereas like at a horror con, they're horror fans, and you having a comic like, oh, that's new, that's cool. There aren't a lot of comic book people here. Let me see what this is about.
Yeah, and it's I think, Aaron, I think any of the weirder the better, man. Like if you think that your IP as a brand aligns with whatever is happening, I think it's worth rolling the dice.
Yeah, I pretty much got all horror kind of cornered.
Yeah.
I've got a apocalyptic, I've got a samurai, and I've got a supernatural.
You're good.
There you go.
Yeah,
I did a witches market 5 minutes from my house.
Those are good too.
And crushed it. And went just thinking like, oh, it's whatever. But the witches thing, it works, you know.
So how many? I have no idea how many to print for the con. That's my biggest hurdle.
So I'm a psycho. I do big orders ahead of time. So I printed 2,000 copies of issue 1. I'm nuts. I'm a lunatic. But I've sold 917 copies of issue 1 so far. So I'm halfway.
There you go.
In like less than a year. So I think it's one of those things of this is where my brain went, because I don't have an off switch. My brain went, well, if I print a ton of them, then I have to do these events. You know what I mean? And it kind of forced my hand a little bit. If I wouldn't print on demand for these events, I would just, I don't know, man, just do a heavy print run.
I feel like if you have space to put them somewhere, then do it.
Yeah,
also do it only with your issue ones. You can never have enough issue ones, but you will always have.
And then order less of everything else. Really quick, Matt. Part of the reason, actually, the whole reason I'm doing this hardcover collection is solely because I started doing more conventions. So I started with C2E2 last year. I put Deadskins on the table, and that Ben Templesmith cover brought people over right away. I sold out of everything I brought. So then I started bringing that to other conventions. I did 2 horror conventions. I brought a bunch of copies, sold out of all of them, same story. So I realized I was almost out of them. And if I'm going to do more conventions, I need to have this book on my table. And so that's the whole reason why I'm doing this Kickstarter. So
that actually makes sense.
Yeah. So if I wind up making some money through the Kickstarter, great. But if I only break even, that's fine too, because I know that I'm going to have a book that I can take all over the country. Through? So I'm actually going through a Chinese printer that I've used before. And so like, it's really cheap. Aaron, if your book is safe for work, because they can't print anything that's not safe for work due to the censorship there. But if it is safe for work, you can get big runs for stupid cheap.
What's the company?
It's eHeng, E-Heng. I can give you the guy's name when we're off the air, but and the contact info. But yeah, like I did a floppy. I did like 800 copies of a book, and it was $1,000 flat. That included shipping.
Whoa. What? Sorry, I just yelled into my microphone.
And taxes and tariffs and all that. Like it was $1,000 flat.
Yeah.
So it's very doable if you can go there. And I'm not freaking out about potential tariffs because not to like get in the weeds on all of this stuff, but like the Chinese devalue their currency so that you don't have to pay more. And then also like right now, like I'm trying to figure out what the deal is, but like the last time we had the same guy in office. He made tariffs 10%,
Yeah,
and then
he
he
did.
knocked
He
them
did do that.
down. But then he knocked them down to 7.5. Biden kept them at 7.5. So we've actually had the Trump tariffs all this time. Now he's saying it's going to be 10%. And what I can't figure out is it an additional 10%? Or is it only going up to 10%? Right?
He's only
Right.
going up to 10%.
So it's only 2.5% difference.
Mhm.
But even if it is another 10%, it's still so cheap
Yeah.
that it's not worth me worrying about it.
It's still way cheaper than domestic printing.
Yeah. And it's
Yeah.
really good quality.
Okay, yeah, I'll definitely get those details off you. And,
Yeah.
I mean, if I have to get a loan out or something, or
Oh,
tap into
no.
savings, then
Second mortgage.
I mean, I know it's up. The upfront cost is always stressing me out.
Yes.
I know
Yes.
long run, it's worth it. It's just the upfront, and I'm already
Yeah, it's the
stressing
initial
it.
stuff.
Yeah, it's the initial kind of
Yeah.
get going.
I don't know if this printer will do credit card. Like some printers, you can put it on the credit card. You might have to have cash in your bank account, and it's like done through a wire. But if sometimes too, like if you can put stuff on a credit card, like I have a business credit card that you can break it up into different payments, and so it's a very small interest rate. Like there's technically no interest. They just charge you like a little fee, and it's like peanuts what they wind up charging you, and you break it down to 12 payments or 18 payments or whatever. You can get into a lot of trouble if you do a lot of stuff like that. But if you had to be like, I need to do this one expense, let me break it up into several payments. It's very doable. There are ways to sort of figure out how to do this.
I'm so happy we're having these conversations, by the way. Thank you, guys.
This is the kind of stuff we need to do.
This is the kind of stuff we do on the show all the time.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, Samantha, tell the people all the beautiful stuff. Go for it.
Oh man. I love how everyone here is like, oh yeah, I got the guy that did this and works for Marvel and blah blah. And here I am. I'm just drawing my own thing.
But it looks so good, Matta.
It looks good.
Thanks.
That's great.
So yeah, I'm the artist, writer, letterer, everythinger for this story, Sacrimony, A Tale of Love, Life, and Death in no particular order. It's the story of a girl who died, and then she got better. And as with all mysterious resurrection stories, there's a catch that she has no idea why she has magical powers or demon wings that she now has to hide from society. So it's the story of her and her mom just trying to have a normal life in a city that wants her dead yet again. And yeah, that's the standard cover. I'm up to issue 8. Been doing this by myself since like 2021.
That's wild.
Thanks. Yeah. So
Matta is the writer, the letterer, the artist, the
penciler, inker, colorer, everythinger, shipper, distresser, professional cat petter. They're good stress relief. But yeah, so that's the cover for issue 8. It's a standard cover. I'll have 2 more variants out because I do my own variants too because I can't afford to hire the fancy guys to do it. And yeah, if you scroll down, I actually did like a little blurb and a preview about the story. Yeah, because I was like, let me just throw some information so that people know what it's about.
Hey, look, more stuff.
Yeah, more stuff. Yeah, so she's dead. Don't you love it when people just start out being dead in stories?
Yeah.
And yeah, it's about the mom's side of the story. It's kind of like a flashback where she died and went to heaven, except heaven is just crumbling ruins. Nobody knows where God is. And she has to find where the God is and find out what's going on. And it's not a spoiler because the start of issue 1 is that she ends up like married to him and they have a kid. And the kid is the one that died and got better. But yeah, it's a lot going on. And, the visuals are great. The story is weird. It's a fantasy story, but it doesn't feel like a sort of like Tolkien D&D story because I built my own world from scratch because I'm crazy like that. And yeah, it's an interesting ride.
Mm-mm-mm.
It is also, yeah, not all ages. So yeah. Thanks. I hate it. It's a drama, but it's also very funny because I can't take anything seriously.
I'm telling you, folks, man, you'll be half the book going, why? Why did you do that? Why?
Yep.
How long does it take you to do a single issue?
If I'm really on a roll, like anywhere between a month and a half to 2 months. If I'm
that's
really off
fast.
my
Good.
game, like maybe 3 or 4 months.
Do you
But
just
I've
work
been,
on the comic full time?
yeah, I've done work for other people. I've done covers for other people. I've done some comic work for other people. So I just don't sleep. It's great.
Gotcha.
Highly recommend.
Oh my God. I still think my favorite line is when Mato says, I can't even afford to pay myself.
I can't. It's tragic. But yeah, so this campaign you can catch up with all 8 issues because 1 through 7 is available. Issue 8 is brand spanking new. I've got issues 1 through 5 in a nice handy dandy trade paperback. Do I have it here? Yeah, I do. So yeah, I've got this. It's 184 pages, which is just the first 5 issues because each of my issues is about 30 to 32 pages. Yeah,
You
it's
get your money's worth.
colorful. It's fancy, it's dramatic, sometimes it's funny, sometimes this happens,
And you're also launching March 3rd. Is that
Yes, I am.
nice?
Crossover
And-
art.
Wait, are we
Yeah,
all
and
doing something in March?
Yeah, could potentially.
Yeah,
Oh,
probably.
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to get like 4 more books out this year. So March, I'm trying for maybe June, September, and November. I already wrapped up a campaign for an art book that was done in January, so it's gonna be a busy year. No sleep.
You did pretty
same
decent
here.
on that one too.
Huh?
You did pretty decent on that one too.
Oh yeah, I did way better than expected because I was like, who wants an art book by some random person sitting in a dark studio in the Bronx? And apparently people do. So that's great. It's a great feeling.
I thought about doing an art book. Do you guys recommend the art book thing? I don't have
It's
enough content, yes.
Yeah, it's definitely niche. Like my art book collected like 4 years worth of work, which ended up being like 150 pages somehow. And
Okay.
that was after me editing. Otherwise it would have been like maybe 200 pages. But like I've done a lot.
What was the price on the art book?
65 because it was hardcover and it was also super limited edition. Like you could only get it through the campaign just because I didn't want to do a huge run and have to like sleep on art books because basically my storage space is
They
whatever
take up
you
a lot
see
of
on
room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
I
art
decided
book
to
you
just-
buy from other people take up a lot of room.
Yeah. Oh my God. I buy so many comics from people. Like I have to start backing digital now because I have no room for physical. But yeah, so I was like, all right, $65, 150 pages, super fancy, hardcover, super limited edition. Like, only 35 people will have this book and no one else will have it, which just makes it extra special in my opinion.
It does. It is. It is. It definitely is, folks. That's why you missed it out. You didn't get it. It's all your fault. Yeah, nah.
Exactly. And I had a tier where I did like an extra sketch on the inside cover for people. And you know what? Like more than half of the people who got the physical book actually went for the sketch tier. So that's like super duper validating.
Very cool.
Thanks.
Very cool. Very cool, my friend. Very. Yeah. And of course, folks, we all know that we suck at comics. So if you ever wanted a written Rick Ralph piece, here's your chance to get it because I hate publishing. And the guys that We Suck at Comics have been very nice enough to do that for me, and me not having to go and try to publish my own book because that's a whole other job by itself. Just like Carmen was saying.
Yeah, it is the least fun job too.
Exactly.
I do like it. I do like the nerdy business side of it. I'm starting to. I know.
You know what it
I
is,
just want to
Carmen?
sit in a cave and draw and have nobody bother me.
You know what it is,
Is that
Carmen?
wrong? Probably.
It's the whole concept that if I'm publishing, I'm not writing.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
I don't like that.
Yeah, that's true. Like there are I really haven't spent as much time as I guess I never thought about it this way, but I guess most of my content was done already so far out in advance. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I had the source material and then built the scripts out. So aside from the short stories that I'm kind of like putting together as we go, yeah, I guess I don't have to. I'm not like running and gunning to get the content out as much, I guess, as other folks.
That's my
have to.
problem, Carmen. It has nothing to do with whatever project has to be done. It's the fact that I'm always writing.
Gotcha.
There's always something in the burner.
Gotcha.
Actually,
Yeah, I'm
I
writing
write-
novels as well. So yeah,
Yeah.
I'm always
Oh my
I'm constantly writing.
I'm constantly writing at least 4 books at the same time.
Dude, that's what I
I've
have.
got 5,
I have 4 hours on a Sunday morning. That is it. Like that is. I have 4 hours on a Sunday morning. That's the only time it happens. And if it doesn't happen, then I can't. Yeah, it's wild.
So, folks, if you want something from the Written Writ Ralph, and on top of that, you get a Shadow Rabbit art piece, which is not clay. It's an actual art piece, all attached to this one little book. And of course, it's an anthology, so you get way more than that. There's other artists, other creators on this book, all doing their thing, all coloring outside the lines.
I love the name because really, no matter where you are in your comics journey, you're always gonna have the voice that's just like, you
We
suck.
suck
You suck at this.
it.
Never goes away. It gets louder as you get more successful, actually. It's terrible.
It does. It really does.
You punch that voice below the belt, Mata.
I always do.
Let's see. J-Pan is saying I don't got it because it hasn't been sent out.
Oh, the art book? It's at the printers, man. Give me a break. I just submitted it this week. It's not due to ship until the end of February.
So, guys, one more time so the people know. So Carmen, starting with you, tell the people where they can find you, all the good stuff. Go for it.
You can find me on Instagram. That's where I'm most active at carmen.costa.writes. You can also follow the publishing company. That's Harpoon Creative Industries. You just search that on Instagram. That'll take you there. You can just Google that. Proctor will go live March 4th, but right now it would be much appreciated if you jumped on the Kickstarter and clicked that notify me button. We are hoping the plan is if all the stars align, everybody should have this trade paperback in their hands by May. So that is the plan.
Nice.
And then if you dig it, you can check out issue 4. That campaign should go live in May. And if you just head to the website, harpooncreativeindustries.com, you can watch our little trailer. You can take a look at the other books. You can take a look at the other campaigns that have been posted to Kickstarter. So thank you so much, guys.
And I'll make it easy for you guys. I'm going to take this. I'm going to copy it. I'm going to put it into the comment section. So I don't want to hear, oh, Ralph. Yeah, I don't want to go look for it.
That one guy just feeling called out.
One guy. One guy.
One guy.
All right, Clay, go for it.
All right. I'm Clay Adams. You can find me at clayadams.substack.com. And I'm also still on Twitter, still hanging on. I'm also still calling it Twitter because I'm an old. I'm
not going to call it the other thing.
I refuse to call it the other thing. It
That's
is still
right.
Twitter.
It's still Twitter. I am
Exactly.
at Clay's Evil Twin. And then my book that's live right now is Deadskins. It's bit.ly/deadskins.hc. That's all lowercase. You can get the book and have a good time. It's the true story of Custer's Last Stand. Whatever they taught you in high school was BS.
Love it.
Oh, man. And of course, go for it.
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram at Wrobewski Aaron. Also, I have Facebook groups for all series. So Anenra, Blood and Fire, Ice and Bone, and Amor Patrice. I'm pretty much float between them.
And of course, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to take this little piece, copy it, and put it into the comment section so I don't have to hear somebody say something.
Hear the guy say the thing.
And
hopefully my
Mata,
cat doesn't disown me, like they cut me off again.
Oh, no.
and Mata, you can you know a little bit about the project because wrong one. You read about it. Why did he go to that one? Okay, here we go.
Oh yeah, Kid Cretaceous. You can follow Jeff at Comics and Cosmos. He is on Instagram, and I don't know if he's still on Twitter, but I know he's on Blue Sky. And yeah, it's just a wholesome, all ages comic about a little girl whose T-Rex, becomes sentient and becomes a superhero. And they get into a lot of trouble, and now she has to go to therapy. Yeah, it's all ages, but it's like a great read for adults too. So highly recommend. I love the story. I want to see where this goes. So let's get it funded. Let's make it happen.
And I know you did a cover for this before.
Oh yeah, so Sarah Cook's got issue 4 of No Spell Lasts Forever. She has not fully revealed the cover that I did for her, so we're all like idiots in suspense, and I love it. But yeah, it's the story of a magic wielding mob member who dies and goes to hell and makes a deal with the devil that she can come back to life if she corrupts one truly good soul. And now she is questioning if she really has it in her to corrupt the one good soul, and like what's going to happen to her if she doesn't.
Wow.
Yeah, love it. It's a great story, and the art is
That is
just
great.
beautiful.
It is. It completely is. And folks, as you may know, tomorrow we have a special show because a bunch of our friends are going to MegaCon, and they go, Ralph, can we go hang out on a show and talk about the fact we're going to MegaCon? And I'm like, I'm a nice guy. So I said, yeah, come on Tuesday. We'll do a whole MegaCon thing with Frank DiStefano, Shattermare Comics, and a couple other guys you may know.
Oh, they're all great people. I love them.
Definitely. And of course, that means that we got 3 shows this week. And on Wednesday on the Written Writ, I have no idea what's going on.
Tune in to find out.
So tune in to find out.
Mystery guests, total surprise.
Yeah, I was looking at who the guests were, and I was like, where did I put this?
Whoever
Now I
turns
know
up,
how
turns
you
up.
feel because I almost forgot someone today.
Yeah, because what I used to do was I would have certain guests that would come on the show, and I would book them, and then people started not showing up. So what I started to do was like I send a bunch of invitations out, and usually 2 or 3 people accept, and that's it. Sometimes a lot of people accept.
Yeah, so sometimes there's like 2 people and sometimes there's like 9. It's great. It's like you're just rolling a d10 and seeing what happens.
Which is what was supposed to happen today with the guys from MegaCon, but I was like, I'll separate the 2. You guys get a little more airtime. You guys get a chance to talk more about your books. And we had a great conversation. We had a couple of great conversations.
Oh yeah, we went really in depth, and I always appreciate it when that happens because nobody really talks about the whole behind the scenes things, the mentality behind anything. Like everyone's just like, "Oh, buy my book," but also this is all of the steps that I had to do to get the book. Like I love it.
But buy my book.
But also
Yeah.
buy my book, please.
So, folks, do we got anything else to say before I press the button?
Chicken tenders.
Buy my book.
Buy my
Buy
book.
my book.
Buy me chicken tenders.
There you go.
And buy Matt a
some
chicken
tenders.
tenders.
Buy the book.
The cost of one book.
If you want to see Matt in person, she's actually going to be at conventions.
Yeah, I'm
she-
actually starting
She will
conventions.
be at the Brooklyn Independent Comic Show in Industry City in April.
Yeah,
right?
April, the end of April. Y'all don't know how elusive I am and how much I really just want to sit in a cave and draw. So I don't do many cons these days, but
And you're doing the Bronx Anime Show, right?
I am doing the Bronx Anime Show too. Because you know what? The price was right. The Bronx Anime Show is in a church, so I might just burst into flames, but we'll see.
It's in August. I think August 2nd, I think.
Yeah, it's the first weekend of August. So
So you guys want to see Matta in person? Now you know where to go see her. We will be meeting her for the first time, and I will be recording all this as we go to Bic, have fun, hang out, and go, this is Matta.
it is I indeed. And then you see that I'm just like a head in a screen with like a robot body.
You know, that'd be funny.
And then it all makes
You show up at the convention and you see Matta on the screen. All right, folks, it has been a pleasure. I hope that you like these little bites of apples that we took and sent your way. And on this show, when it ends, this happens.
And that's how I saved Christmas.